Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Town Council for Thursday, October 29th to order. If you would rise and please join us in this pledge. Sarah, if you'd be willing to help us, thank you. Pledge to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah's meeting with us later on. She's a Girl Scout working on her Gold Leaf Award, I believe. And so we're happy to have her join us. Announcements. And I just lost my sheet. Announcements. The general election will be held on Tuesday. That's coming really soon. November 3rd, yeah, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Can't be any sooner than that. At your designated polling location, please be advised that the James Mastrocola Upper Elementary School polling location has been moved to the Merrimack High School for the general election. The middle school and St. John Newman polling places have not changed. They are at the same location, so hopefully everybody finds that without any trouble. The Merrimack Town Council would like to offer condolences to the friends and family of Mike Buto, who passed away on Sunday, October 11th at the age of 64. Mike served as a full-time officer with Merrimack Police Department from 1980 to 1984. Upcoming town council meetings. The town council will meet on the first and third Thursdays of the months of November and December. Thursday, November 5th at 7 p.m. is a regular meeting here, and Thursday, November 19th at 7 p.m. is also a regular meeting here. Eileen, do you have anything else?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say, might seem strange to the public that here I am again after a while being out. One, I have a little boo-boo on my chin. I cut myself shaving. No, I had I had a mole removed. So, but anyway, I had COVID and had to quarantine for a couple of weeks. So that's one of the reasons why I've been out for a while. But I'm back and
And you're clear.
Oh, of course, yes. I would never be back if I wasn't. No. So I can see everybody going like this. No COVID anymore. My announcements are the media division will be covering the Merrimack High School varsity football game versus Nashua South this Saturday, 10:31, beginning at 6 p.m. Watch live in 3 places: Merrimack TV, Channel 21, our Facebook page, and merrimacktv.com. Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, any questions of the announcements? Okay. Thank you. I thought we put you way over there so you couldn't ask questions.
I'm sorry, you know me, I just can't help myself. No, you mentioned Mike Buto. Mike, I wasn't on the department when Mike was, but I knew Mike over the years through MYA Sports. He was a dedicated father and coach. My heart goes out to the family. Deepest sympathies. He's a great influence in town and coaching, especially softball with his daughters. He'll be missed.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Okay. Comments from the press and public. Recognitions, resignations, and retirements. We have meetings with the Town Center Committee tonight. Annual review with the Town Center Committee per Town of Merrimack Charter. Section 6-6, at least annually, there should be an annual review with the Town Center Committee. This agenda item is to highlight the committee's significant actions, current projects, anticipated actions, and to raise any concerns the council should know or could act on. Nelson? Welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
As always.
Good to be seen.
You're welcome to, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, and members of the committee.
Is your mic on, Nelson? Can you check to make sure your mic is on?
Now it's on.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Town Council. My name is Nelson Disco. I'm the chairman of the Town Center Committee, and I'm here to give our annual report of the committee for what we've done during the past year. There was a handout for you that outlines what I'm going to say, but I'll go over it anyway, mostly for the benefit of those who are listening at home and don't have the advantage of a handout. The committee, the Town Center Committee, was established in 2009, and it was a recommendation of a study called the I-TRAC study, which was done by the National Regional Planning Commission at the request of this council. Following the completion of that study, there were some recommendations for implementation, and this committee was formed to expedite and facilitate those recommendations. We report directly to the town manager, and we work with town officials, residences, businesses, and Conservation Commission. The purpose was to coordinate the development of local business and to create an inviting town center for people, for visitors and local persons to enjoy. Our committee charge was amended in December 2019 to add a representative from DPW. This is Kyle Fox, who is now the DPW representative. Committee meetings this year have been a little different. All of our meetings held since February have been done via Zoom, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. The current membership of this committee is myself as the chairman, Bill Wilkes, Karen Freed, Matt Chevenel, Bill Cummings, Kyle Fox. Finley Rothaus is the council's representative on the committee. We have no representative from the Chamber of Commerce, which is not really functioning as a local board anymore. We have openings for 6 members at large, and if you know anyone or anyone who's interested, we would welcome any more help we can get. We lost one of our key members this year in that Peter Flood chose not to be reappointed. His term was up, and he asked not to be reappointed, and it really doesn't feel he has the time to do this anymore. So we will miss him because he was one of the instigators that got this whole thing rolling in the beginning. The main work that we've done this year, the main things we've been focused on, is first of all what we call the Souhegan River Trail. And this was a trail that will lead from the Watson Park under Route 3 through an old sluiceway and eventually lead to Wildcat Falls. That was, we were awarded a TAP grant. That's
Transportation Alternative
Pardon?
Program, or Transportation Alternative
Transportation, thank you. Transportation Alternative Grant. And we were awarded that in 2015 to initially do it. This resulted in some work, some investigations, and in 2017, we got another TAP grant to do a sidewalk on Woodbury Street. After some review and analysis by our consultant, engineering consultants, well, construction consultants, it was just determined that there wasn't enough money in the 2 grants, or at least in the grant for the Soyegan River Trail, to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish, mainly because they found some structural deficiencies in the bridge construction there that have to be addressed at the same time. So they took the money from, we agreed and with the state, and we took the money that was allocated for the Woodbury Street sidewalk and put it together with the Sohegan River Trail, and now we have enough money, theoretically, to do this. Since then, we've had some scheduling difficulties. Originally, we expected we were going to be under construction in 2020. There were some shortfalls, some constraints put on the whole process that said they didn't have enough money to do all the things that were in this whole set of grants, and we were pushed out to 2024. This made no one happy on the committee, but we finally got a design together by Quantum Construction, and that was done in 2020. We sent in our final comments on the design. Since then, we've got a new schedule from Quantum, which together with the state will possibly put it in construction in 2021, possibly. There's funding constraints that are slowing this down, but it appears that we may have the money. If anyone dropped out or anybody ran out of funds in this process, we'd be in a position to move right forward. So that's kind of the other downside was in 2020, in September, we were advised that we needed to do another cultural resources study. There was one done in 2017, but apparently it's not satisfying. There's a new regime up there in cultural resources, and they don't like the results of the first one, and they want to do another one. Basically, this looks for significant cultural or historical items that might be in the way or be disturbed by the construction of this thing, this trail. They look for burial sites, and they look for pieces that are left of the old tannery process that might be of some cultural historical value. So those are the two impediments that are in our way at the moment. But the committee is still with the
trying.
program and still
that's
trying
good
to
to
make
hear.
it happen. Okay? Any questions on that? That's a long process. In the meantime, alongside of this, it was discovered that there are some deficiencies in what we call the Soyegan River Footbridge. And this is the footbridge that was constructed under the Merrill's Marauders Bridge on F.E. Everett Turnpike. It was a gift to the town at the time. It was taken from Portsmouth or some such place and put in place here. We've since been discovered that there are structural deficiencies in this bridge to the point that it is closed for further use. I'm sure you're aware of this, but it affects our planning and everything, and that was going to be part of our network. And we still hope it is. There's our DPW director has been very proactive in trying to get some funding for this. He tried through the Land and Water Conservation Funds, and we were turned down on that. And so now we've applied under the state bridge program, and it has now been put into. We applied through what's called the TTAC, the Transportation Action Committee, and they have now included it in the NRPC's 10-year plan for 2023-2032. So that's, hang around. Pardon?
We may or may not see it.
We may or may not see it. I may.
Starting to sound like the circumferential highway, huh?
Yeah, yes, I hope it doesn't go the way that went, but yes, that's a candidate for the next longest project. With the other big project we've been working has been the Woodbury Street project. And now this project, as I said, was originally applied for a separate TAP grant. It was awarded, then that was taken back. And so to get the money together for the Souhegan River Trail. Then we applied again for another TAP grant to do the Woodbury Street sidewalk. That being an important safety feature in conjunction with the high school, connecting the high school to downtown. It was, yes, we applied for another grant, and that one we were turned down by the NRPC, didn't give it the highest rating that it had given it prior, and so it was not, funds were not appropriated. So last year, I came here and begged you, and thank you, you listened, to put it on to the capital improvement program and put it in the capital planning for the town. And that was done, and that was passed at the town meeting in, I think it was June by the time we had a town meeting this year, but that funding for that project was passed there. So I think we're going to have a little further discussion tonight on that, but right now I think we're waiting for an approval or a go-ahead from this council to go ahead and begin the design work on that project. Under the topics of public outreach, we had been running a series of, any questions on Woodbury Street? Or we're going to have a discussion later?
We'll discuss it later.
Later?
yeah.
Okay, I'll be here.
Okay. Thought you would.
In the area of public outreach, which is one of our charters, we had been having information booths at different events around town. We did hold one at the Winter Carnival, which was in February last year. It was very well received. We had plans to do the pancake breakfast and the turkey shoot and all the others, but those events have all been canceled because of COVID, and so we have no more. We had no more of those. They were just plain canceled for now, and we're thinking about next year. We don't yet have any of those agended right now. Under the Safe Routes to School program, the school budget this year for 2021 included funds to do a master plan, what they're calling a master plan for the high school area. And that would include perhaps some new parking areas, some new drive-through routes, and some more parking, because there's not enough parking. And so all of that put a delay into their original plan, which was to repave O'Gara Drive, which was going to include a sidewalk along the missing piece of sidewalk on O'Gara Drive. It's got about half done, and it was going to be included in this new thing, but in this new this year's repaving, but that repaving is now put on hold while they do this master plan study before they do any repaving. So that's sort of on hold. It's going to be considered as part of the school master plan. The school master plan has not gotten underway this year as they thought it would because of the COVID, and the school district is just so tied up in resolving the issues of school planning and so on. They haven't taken time to make this master plan for the future. So that's where we've spent our energies this past year. The plans for 2019 and 20, which is really now 20 and 21, I should say, is working with the SAU. We're going to work with them. Members of our committee, including Kyle Fox and Matt Chevenel, will be part of that master planning committee. So we're going to support that with the school. We've been working this year with the Media Center. Nicholas LaValle has been very helpful to us. First of all, he's got us set up with the Zoom, which is no mean task. which is a mean task, I should say.
No
It's,
simple task.
so he's been very helpful in that area, and he's working with us, a couple of our members, to develop a Facebook page for the Town Center Committee, which will be linked into the town's town's Facebook, and will give us a way to communicate more of our work to the general public, which is what the goal is there. We're going to continue the information booths if we can, depending on what rules come out. It's not looking good on COVID this week, but anyway. We're going to continue to work with DPW on preparing further capital improvement plans for the following years. I believe the next one and I've forgotten what the next one was. It may be the piece between the O'Gara Drive and the library, one of those. The next one that was it'll be part of your discussions tonight. Let's leave it there. Our recommendations to the council is to continue budgeting monies from the town budgets to do pieces of this construction, a small part at a time, and to keep it moving. I think we've learned that these available funds from TAP and so on are they're just too overburdened with extra clauses and extra costs and extra everything, that it's just not going to suit our purpose. We're not going to live long enough to do it. And maybe that's part of the plan. So that's we would like your continued support through the town manager and the DPW. And if you have any way of helping recruit members for this committee, we would like to, we would welcome new members on the committee. With that, I'm going to conclude my remarks and open for any questions we missed on the first go-around. And I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your support, especially for the support to keep this going and keep it alive.
We definitely appreciate your input and support to keep this going and alive. Thank you much for that. Eileen, you had something to add?
It is not all in vain. Keep in mind that after, 30 years, that
Yeah.
exit 11
Tolls
are finally getting removed, I think this weekend, the actual
Yes.
structures.
One of them is
So-
removed already, yeah.
It does,
I mean, it does happen.
Pigs do
Might not be in
fly.
our lifetime. You never know.
Okay, let me see.
so, yes, exactly.
When were those built the second time? Because they
I
were,
don't
they were
know.
built once and they were moved.
I don't know, but we paid for them for a long time. But anyway, my question is, have you been involved at all with the library in their discussions of with their building committee on what they're doing? Because I would think that would be a good group to meet with, because they're, as they're discussing what they want to do with their building. Are they going to stay here? Are they going to want to locate somewhere else? And that kind of thing.
Well, we haven't worked with that particular committee, but we do have a library representative on our committee.
Okay.
Karen Freed represents the library on the town center committee.
Okay, it might be good to have somebody from maybe Yvette, the director, come in and talk to you about what her ideas are, because obviously the library is a piece of the center currently, and you want to
I'll be glad to do that.
keep in touch with that.
We'll be glad to do that, yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Peter?
Nelson, just wondering, and maybe you covered it and I didn't hear it, but regarding the trail, the heritage trail that's going up by the Souhegan River and so forth, and if we ever do get the footbridge replaced at Merrill's Marauder, the south side of the river going from the Merrill's Marauder Bridge all the way back out to DW Highway, to the other side of Chamberlain Bridge. Do we have an avenue, is there a plan for creating a path to kind of bring it all around?
No, unfortunately, we don't have that right-of-way, if you will. That's something that would have to be negotiated.
Okay.
I'm not even sure we have a right-of-way to connect it to West Chamberlain Road. Maybe Kyle knows. I don't know if we own that right-of-way. It's being used.
Yep.
That piece is being used, but I don't know if the town owns a right-of-way there. And I'm sure we don't own it down to
I'm getting a positive nod from Kyle on that we have access or own a right-of-way at least, or an easement.
We do,
or
Kyle?
something.
on the West Chamberlain side.
Yeah.
We have a sewer easement that goes down through there.
I mean, that
there's
would be a
easement.
Oh, a
nice,
sewer easement, okay.
yeah, that'd be a nice piece
Good.
if we could ever get it done to make the route, once the original route's built. But, thank
If we
you.
can get that bridge repaired.
Yeah.
If we can get the bridge repaired, right? I mean, without the bridge, there's not much point.
Bridge is in pretty sorry shape. You talk about repair, it's pretty corroded.
I'm well aware.
And I don't believe it could have been, it didn't all happen on our watch. I just, hard to believe that it was in perfect shape when it
Well,
was
no, it
moved
was
here.
not in perfect shape when we got it, and you said it was a donation. It wasn't a donation, but we paid for shipping and a small fee to take it out of their way.
Okay,
But no, it was an old bridge that was being rejected by Portsmouth or something like that, somebody
Yeah.
over there on the coastline,
okay.
when we got it, and we paid for shipping to bring it over. But essentially, it was at low cost. Eileen?
Okay.
When you were asking Kyle about the easement, and he said that we have a sewer easement, is that something that could be, number one, is it, how wide is it approximately? Do you have some sense? Sure.
I don't recall the width. I'd have to do some research on that. We got additional easements when the Souhegan Riverview project was constructed, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. Those condos that are adjacent to it. I don't recall exactly what the easement we have is, but there's a trail, public trail, that goes behind those condominiums as well, that ties into that network.
Anybody else have any questions for Nelson? No, he just was flagging that Eileen did. Nelson,
Okay.
thank you very much for your report, and if
Thank
there's
you.
anything we can do to help besides our continued advertisement for members, I'll
Okay.
just amplify what you said. If anybody is interested at all in serving on the Town Center Committee, you have 6 openings for at-large members right now.
Right,
And they'd love the additional support. It doesn't take any special super qualifications, just an interest in the town of Merrimack.
That's-
Specifically the center of the town of Merrimack.
that's right.
Right.
Right. Thank you.
And it might be known also that currently our meetings are noontime on Fridays typically.
Noon on Fridays.
Yes, so if
Yes.
somebody wants to join, we can have conversations, but that's what it's been for a long time.
That's what it has been, and now, of course, it's being done on Zoom. And so
So you don't have to show
you
up
don't
anywhere.
have to go anywhere or do anything, just bring your laptop with you and you're set, you know? So, you can do it with a cell phone. You can participate by cell
You
phone.
certainly
So-
can.
So there's some benefits that come from all of this.
It's the only benefit. There's no other benefit to Zoom.
Okay.
Okay.
And appreciate your help with the continued funding too, and for the next phase of this next
We're doing what we
project.
can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nelson. We appreciate it.
Right.
Next on our agenda is an annual review at the Merrimack Conservation Commission. Per the Town of Merrimack Charter, Section 6.6, at least annually, there should be an annual review with the Merrimack Conservation Commission. This agenda item is to highlight the commission's significant actions, current projects, anticipated actions, and to raise any concerns the council should know or could act on. And we have Steve Perkins with us. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm Steve Perkins. Thank you, town councilors. Eileen, thanks for having me here tonight, putting me on the agenda. I did miss the deadline to get these in your packets. If anyone's wants a paper copy, I can give you one.
Okay.
If you've got aging eyes like me, that might be easier.
It's a bad neck.
Do we have to admit?
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're up.
Might as well just pass it. Yeah, pass it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, thanks.
Appreciate it.
If you
I
have enough.
lost one in the rain.
And the-
I might have lost two in the rain. I'm sorry about that.
You guys want to share one? or-
I did put together 10 slides I can share with you. They're short and to the point, but by all means, give me the stop sign if I'm going too fast that I
I
can
was
answer.
going to say, it's 6 minutes a slide. That could be a while.
No, I promise it's on 6 minutes a slide. And that's a tough act to follow. Next year I need to go on a different night. But, I've got 2 slides dedicated to talking about some of our successes or accomplishments of the past year. At the risk of overindulging, though, I will say we've celebrated some success in terms of staying full. We have all our members and all our alternate positions full. We did lose one member who moved out of town. Our old chair, Matt Karen, had moved on, but we welcomed Michael Druin, who came from, he moved back to Merrimack from Hudson, and he actually served on their Conservation Commission, so we stay full here. We did talk Mike Swisher into becoming our vice chair. We filled another subcommittee, and we also have 2 members that are interested, so a full Conservation Commission is a good place for us right now. The mission of the commission has not changed. We keep it focused to what the town charter dictates that we do. This is the same slide you saw last year. Some of our accomplishments, we enjoyed the support of a lot of volunteers and volunteer organizations, not just the scouts, our subcommittees, obviously, do fantastic work, day-to-day work, keeping our trails, keeping them clean, removing trees as Mother Nature tries to barricade our trails. So we're very appreciative to the work of all of the volunteer organizations. You're gonna hear from one of the scouts proposing a project later this evening. In addition to the trail maps and markings, a significant portion of our members' volunteer time does go to keeping, rerouting trails as Mother Nature or beavers or whatever else force us to do so, keeping them well posted, keeping up with erosion, although that hasn't been a problem lately, but I'm sure it'll rear its ugly face again at some point. We did work with Fish and Game. We were fortunate we had Ray Green and Lieutenant Bill Boudreau join us for our January meeting. We'd really gotten a lot of feedback from the public about different concerns, OHRVs, hunting, all those sorts of things, target shooting. So they really gave us some tips and some strategies how to have people coexist on the properties, and that was helpful. And additionally, we have periodic check-ins with Conservation Officer Sean McFadden, who operates in this area, and he's given increased attention, in particular to Scalar Waterfront Park. So we continue to enjoy that. We did our seedling giveaway. We did that, I think it was the weekend right before Mother's Day, so it was in May, and a lot of people weren't going out. It was challenging. Courier Orchards let us use that space there. We were able to do it in a safe way, and despite the way things were back in early May, we got 450 seedlings, gave away all but 69 of them. Fantastic turnout. People never left their vehicles. I will share with you that the remaining 69, we used those on banks at both Wasserman and Greater Woods. We went out and planted them there, so right now they're probably preventing erosion. So that's some good news. More accomplishments last year. We put a lot of work into Chapter 111, really have brought that a long way from our recommendations, a long way from where they were a year ago. We spent a lot of time talking about conservation officer, just that topic. I spoke a little bit. We brought him in. We continue to work with Officer McFadden. We participated in the Wasserman Winter Carnival. We did get that in before the pandemic shut things down. We've created a new Merrimack Hike Club, which has attracted a lot of interest. There's a lot of folks, and hopefully that won't change even when we return to a normal. A lot of folks who just that like to unite and hike our conservation properties. And we continue to maintain an engaging, and I think it is engaging and it is fresh, website at Merrimack, www.merrimackoutdoors.org. Just some pictures. You know, the one on the left, that's during our Wasserman LCIP, Land Conservation Investment Program walk survey that we did last year. We did do one of those last year, and we're doing another one this Sunday at Wasserman. For those who don't know, you know, we have a commitment to the state to perform an annual audit or survey, just to make sure there's not infringement, dumping, misuse, or any of those sorts of things. And we do a real nice job, a real thorough job. Going there, you know, plotting the, you know, an overlay on a map of the different locations, walking the entire perimeter of the property. And the commissioners love doing it. Most of us show up for that. We make sure we put it on the schedule, because we always have a quorum for that. It's just a great time to get out, and we choose this time of year because the leaves are falling, and we really can do a thorough assessment of the property. That was Jeff Littleton, who works with us from Moosewoods Ecological during our spring vernal pool walk. That one's actually from 2019. We did have to cancel that this year, but we hope to get back on track with those. Here are the current finances of Fund 5153, the Horse Hill Nature Preserve Fund. Not a whole lot of change with these. Goals and activities, and we've got quite a few that I've outlined here. You know, I'll talk about some of the ones that are most important to us, because you can read them all there. But parcel management, trail management, that's probably the heaviest lift on this slide in terms of time and the number of hours. Matt Karen was a critical part of that, but we have some new members that he used to bike these trails with a chainsaw on the back of his bike to just deal with any, you know, mitigate any situation as he encountered it. But some of our new members seem to have a passion and enthusiasm for doing that, and I think I'm sure we'll continue to keep trails navigatable during 2021. We're very close. We're inching very close to presenting to you. That's really our next step on Chapter 111, is to present to you our recommendations. So
Right.
hopefully very soon we'll put ourselves on an agenda and come here, and you'll like what we're recommending. We'll continue to keep our maps and parcels updated. You know, most of our trails now, you see at the kiosk, they have the QR code, and we're printing less and less maps now. People are using that QR code, and that makes it a lot easier to update a map. But you know, you can keep trails current and fresh and accurate digitally a lot quicker than you can when
Print
you're
them out,
relying on printed versions. We'll continue to review acquisition opportunities. We really don't have our eye closely on anything now. We're managing 1,800 acres. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. We do have some donated parcels that we're looking at. One of our members is exceptional at taking a donated property through that whole process and actually receiving it. So that's definitely an area we could use some depth at that position. So we've identified a new member who really wants to learn how to do that, and it's important for us that we have someone that knows how to work that process. And we do have a parcel assessment tool that we use to conduct those assessments as opportunities present themselves. Number 8, we do continue to revisit potential to create a bypass trail. The Beaver, you know, number 10, the Beaver management policy. We do have a policy. It's on the website. We also have a number of beaver deceivers in town, and they're working. You probably see them. There's one near. It looks like it's a big cage in the water. It looks like we're trying to keep something in, not keep something out. But those have been pretty effective at managing water levels. But they do require routine maintenance. We don't usually do that maintenance, but we talk about it. We keep an eye on it, and when it's needed, we have a company that comes out and does that for us. And we hope to continue to. It's important. More and more people are using that merrimackoutdoors.org website, so we'll continue to keep that fresh and relative. Didn't have a lot to put on this slide. I mean, a lot of these things you're already doing for us, and we're certainly appreciative. You know, we have some initiatives with a lot of things challenges at Scholar. We continue to try to improve access down to the boat ramp. Kyle has been assisted us a number of times. We've had some donations of large boulders. Maybe not large enough, but he's helped us get them to Scalar, and then we have a volunteer down there that's positioned them. And I think they have been effective in letting people know that we don't want them riding ORVs in some of those sensitive areas. We'll continue, like with the donations, we'll continue to come to you with acquisitions as they pop up. I think a topic we're going to readdress probably in the coming months. And I know we continue to have discussions about whether a conservation officer is right for the town of Merrimack. And before we could ever really move on something like that, we'd need your feedback. We have gotten feedback from Fish and Game, and Pete's captured feedback from Merrimack Police Department. So it's a topic we probably will continue to talk about. We do have an overlay. We would like to, the GIS system is working, but we do have an overlay from GZA that does show areas of wetland interest and wetland buffer interest. And we'll continue to explore with Kyle and his folks whether or not those two could be merged somehow and whether there'd be some usefulness to that. Chapter 111, I've already talked about that. You'll hear from us on that very soon. And again, we appreciate your feedback. We like the way we talked about, we dealt with the Wildcat Falls struggle together, and we appreciated that you came to ask us for that recommendation, and I know you genuinely listened to it, so thank you for that. Other than that, more great pictures. Don't ask me what kind of lizard that is. Or salamander. I might not have even gotten that right, but
It's a four-legged critter with a tail. Yeah.
it's adorable, is what it is.
Yeah, there you go. So, just real quickly, a GZA overlay is what?
GZA overlay. It was a commission we studied. I think the work started 2 years ago, but they put together basically a hydrology assessment. They did soil sampling and really mapped out areas of interest. Of wetland interest.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are on conservation properties already, which is really a great, that's kind of the news we wanted to hear. But there is an overlay, and that's probably the next, GIS is fantastic, and that might be the next element, is to somehow add this GZA data to that.
Okay.
I think it could
And
be
are you
done.
working with Tim Thompson and his group?
Mm-hmm, yes.
All right, thanks. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions? Peter? Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, thank you very much for your presentation tonight, and I want to thank Gina for being here tonight to support you. I personally want to thank the entire Conservation Commission we have Sarah Hardy in the audience tonight as it relates to her Gold Award project. You folks have been tremendous resources for some of the young men and women that are in scouting, to allow them to present to you with their particular ideas to really improve our outdoor facilities in our community. And I think all you folks are to be commended for being really good mentors for nurturing these young kids in our community and supporting them and giving them ideas so that they can continue to make, these places that we really care about. I mean, I've talked about, I don't mean to be redundant, but I've talked about them being our crown jewels, and I really appreciate the level of stewardship that all of you have shown on the commission, but also to the young kids that have come forward with their ideas to make these parks even better for our community. So thank you very much for what you've done, and I also do want to echo your thanks. I want to thank you for the level of partnership that you showed this council as it related to Watson Park and especially Wildcat Falls. I really sincerely appreciate the level of concern, the comity, COMITY, that you folks took in your approach in dealing with Wildcat Falls and giving us some substantive feedback so that we as a council could be able to move forward to address the concerns with not just that within the neighborhood, but also Wildcat Falls in general. So I want to thank you for your presentation. Thank you for the level of work that all of you folks have done. And that Merrimack Hike Club, Tom and I had the opportunity to interview Mike, and I think we were not just we were just really enthused that somebody was willing to say, come in and hit the ground running with a new idea. So I think, it's nice, like I talked about a year ago, moving away from, acquisition and getting into a conservation and administration is not the right word, but, actually, managing our facility, our parks and our conservation areas so that people could take advantage of them. So we're starting to see some steps, so I really appreciate that. And I think what Mr. Druin is doing is a great first step to engage people in our community, to drag them in, for the lack of a better term. So again, thank you very much.
Well, thank
I
you
really
for that.
appreciate it, to you and the entire commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Peter?
Steve and Gina, thank you for your presentation tonight. I'm the council's ex officio member to the Conservation Committee. I gotta tell you, it's been a great experience. I can assure the citizens of Merrimack that our conservation land is in good hand with the individuals, the group, alternate members who are caring for these outdoor areas. And in this pandemic, we found out how important these areas are and how many people really want to use them, myself included, and I know a number of members of the council like to get out. So I just want to say it's been a great experience, and we've got a great group of people there, and thank you all for your effort.
Thank you, Peter.
Did you want, Finley, did you want something? Did you want to say something?
I do agree with
Oh, I do too. I think Bill kind of wrapped it all up very well for our appreciation of the work you guys are doing. Does anybody else have any comments?
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. And thank you, Gina. We appreciate your efforts as well. Moving along, that brings us to appointments, which we have none. Public hearing, none. Legislative updates from state reps. Seeing none. Town managers report.
I'm not turning the air conditioner on, but I'm making sure it's not hot.
Please do, thank you. Okay. Nancy's playing HVAC technician. Yeah, she likes to
Is
be
it-
cold. I said, you like to be cold. That's insane. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to let everybody know, unfortunately, even though a lot of time and effort went into applying for the FEMA grant, for the AFG grant for the 4 firefighters, we did not get that grant. The letter said that there were 8,300 applications, which required $1.9 billion worth of resources. It doesn't say how much they had, but
I can imagine it was far short of that.
it was far short of that, yeah. But what I would like to say is that despite the fact that we did not get the grant, I want to thank and appreciate everybody that was involved at the fire department with looking to get this grant, with doing all the research, with putting together all the data. It involved an awful lot of work and a lot of dedication by those people. And I just would like to thank them very much for what they did. And I'm hoping that that we can be supportive of, seeing that we have looked at the staffing, and we have kind of determined that that staffing is really needed, or we wouldn't have applied for the grant, that we go forward and place those 4 firefighters in the budget next year. I know I will put it in mine, and obviously I'm not the last word, but I just, many thanks go out to the chief and his staff, and all the people that were involved in applying for that grant. They really put their heart into it. It wasn't just, all right, we'll just turn this thing in. I mean, they really did the research. So, keep your chin up, and you did a really good job. The planning board has recommended to the town council tentatively for the first reading on 11/19, a variety of amendments to the zoning ordinance to address repeated ordinance administration and enforcement tasks, which include definitions, ordinance references, home occupations, dimensional requirement clarifications, travel trailers references, and modifications to ensure compliance with the state building codes and signs, as well as amend the ordinance by updating and formatting the telecommunications tower section. So that's coming from the planning board. The transfer station held another very successful free-on recycling event last Saturday. Merrimack residents recycled 268 appliances at no cost. Eversource and New Hampshire Saves are picking up the $4,020 in disposal costs for the residents. In the 3 years we have hosted this program, 669 appliances have been recycled with a cost savings to Merrimack residents of $10,035. And I thank Kyle Fox and his staff for the work that they do in keeping that program going every year. The LED lighting project at Town Hall began yesterday. You know, it was interesting. I came here, I hadn't been here for a while, and you know, as I had said earlier, and there was a big, huge trailer down by where Kyle's office is, and I'm like, what the heck is that all about? And so all of a sudden, a group of men come wandering in and wanting to change the lights, but it looks pretty good. It looks very nice and modern, and it seems a lot better than the regular fluorescents that we had. Let's see what else. The project will replace all the lights in the town hall buildings, the ambulance garage, and Abbey Griffin Park.
I think these were done
What'd you say?
already. These lights in this room were done already, right?
I don't know. Were they?
No?
Not yet,
They're
no.
being replaced as well?
Yeah. Yeah, they look yellowy. Yeah, they're bright. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
The color's staying the same because of the cameras. This is the color the media division wants. So it's a special bulbs that we're putting in here.
Okay, thank you.
so, I know, really.
Behind the mask, you can't tell anyway, so
So,
I can see
the-
you're all set for Halloween.
The light fixtures will include motion sensors, which will result in energy savings beyond the savings resulting from the LED technology. The project is expected to take less than 2 weeks to complete. I had that experience this morning where outside of my office, the conference room, I was sitting in my office for a while, maybe 10 minutes or so, and hadn't come out. And I walked out, and all of a sudden, the light turns on a little bit higher, and I felt like a celebrity in my own office. It was very nice. Unless I was, is actually a feature of it, or it wasn't a weird, it wasn't some weird out-of-body
Wasn't a senior
experience I
moment.
had. Okay, so again, exit 11 northbound off-ramp will be closed this Saturday, October 31st, for toll plaza canopy removal work. The closure is scheduled from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., but New Hampshire DOT and their contractor will make every effort to reopen the ramp to traffic as soon as it's safe to do so. Wow.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
very much so.
Big wow.
Big wow.
Public Works is happy to report that MR Wood Recycling has completed the grinding of the brush piles at the transfer station. The staff has cleaned up the area just in time for the leaf season. That's always quite a job, so it's nice to have that done. Thank you, Kyle. And that's all I have.
Snow.
Thank you.
Any questions of the town manager? Finley?
How much did the grinding cost? That was just a last-second question, but if you know, it's not important.
I don't recall that.
Okay, no, thank you. The question I actually had was there a rebate with the LED lighting?
You're going to have to ask your question again.
I'm having technical difficulties over here. Okay. In the dunce seat over here. Okay, what was that, Finley?
I was just curious if there was a rebate associated with the LED lighting project, similar to when we did the streets.
Yeah, Kyle has that information, but
Yes, there is. The project cost to the town is $48,000. The rebate was $16,000.
Okay. Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, Eileen.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Eileen. We have no consent agenda for tonight. Brings us to old business. Can I, what? No. Well, which one? The Girl Scout? Can we move new business? Well, what else does? Well, it is. Okay. Why don't we skip to number 2 under new business first, just to support Sarah in her efforts, and avoid having to sit through a long discussion. So, it was submitted by Girl Scout Sarah Hardy, the town council to be presented with and consider the approval of Girl Scout Sarah Hardy's proposed project to construct and install long phone stand props along trails in Horse Hill Nature Preserve, Greater Woods, and Twin Bridge Park.
Thank you.
Selfie stand is labeled it, so stands that go up all by themselves?
I think this is on, okay.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hardy. I'm a senior here in Merrimack, and I'm also a senior Girl Scout, and I've been doing Girl Scouts since I was in first grade, so about 12 years. Thank you for having me here today, and I'm really excited to show you my plan. So a Girl Scout Gold Award is a community service project that helps Girl Scouts give back to their community. And it's around 80 hours, and my idea is to make selfie stands that allow you to prop up your phone and take pictures without it having to be a selfie, like stretch your arm up and stuff like that. And I just thought it would be a safer alternative because I came up with this idea when I was hiking a few Father's Days ago with my mom and my dad, and we saw these teenagers out on a trail, and they were leaning over a ledge, trying to get the picture of the water or something, and I just thought that there had to be a safer way to do that. And I've gone in front of the Conservation Commission and shared my idea with them, and they approved it, and some of them are here today. And yeah. So my outline is on the picture up on the slide. So the back stand would be about 4 to 5 inches tall and about 7 inches long, and that's the stand that you'd prop your phone up on. And the bottom would be about 1 by 1 block and about 7 inches long. And then the front block would be about 1 inch thick and about 7 inches long. And then the pole that would hold it up on the bottom would be a 4 by 4 block and around 8 to 9 feet tall. And so my first idea to make the stands out of was cedar. So that cedar is very long lasting and durable, so we wouldn't have to it would last a long time. And my second idea was to make it out of a cheaper wood, but then paint it dark green like the trail markers, so it could kind of blend in with what's around there. And then
Have you come up with a plan yet, or are you still working
I'm still
at it?
trying to come up with a plan. I was thinking about getting your opinions. I know when I talked with the Conservation Commission, they gave their opinion and talked about how it was going to go in the ground and what they thought, and they said I should ask you guys also.
Okay, thanks.
So for it going in the ground, the first idea was to so it'll go in the ground around 3 to 5 feet, and we could partially fill it with cement and then fill the rest up with soil, so the cement wouldn't be showing. And the second idea that would be kind of a little easier, so we didn't have to use cement, was fill it with gravel. and then top it with the soil so that you wouldn't see the gravel. And I'm welcome to any ideas that you guys have that you might like better or prefer. So the locations of the stands will be the Horse Hill Nature Preserve, the Greater Woods Paths, and the Twin Bridge Park Paths. The first one I have is located on the first, where the first bench is at Horse Hill. And on the presentation, you can see where the stand would be located. It'd be located like right next to the little plaque about the beavers and the pond. And then the far left is what the picture would show with you in it. Yeah. And then the second one is down by the second bench that's at Horse Hill. And it would be located right next to the bench that's already there. And on the far left, again, is the view that you would get from the picture. And then the next one would be at Greater Woods, and conveniently there's actually a Boy Scout project that is right next to it, and it's the overlook. And so in the middle, there's the view that you would see, and the far right is where on the trail it's located. And it would be right next to the Boy Scout overlook in front of a tree that's right there. At Twin Bridge Park, the first one I have is right next to one of the trail markers as soon as you come down the hill. And in the middle are the two views that you could get, and then on the far right is where it's located on the trail. And then the last stand is also at Twin Bridge. It's going to be right next to a tree. There isn't a bench near it, but it's like kind of next to the other one, but you get the up view of the waterfalls that are there. And I thought that was really pretty, so I thought that would be a great location for somebody to take a picture. And then on the far right is, again, the location of where it would be. So cost, the Girl Scout Council has a certain amount of money they are able to give away for projects. And so I can apply for a grant. I did my silver award, which I worked with the Merrimack Library to do. I made a cake pan library and made a cookbook out of recipes that the community gave me. And I have that so you can check out in the library, or there were some you could buy in the library also. And I applied for a grant with that, and my grant covered the full cost of my project, so I didn't have to do any fundraising or anything. This one's gonna cost a little more, so we can also do fundraising, and I have, I believe, 4 other girls in my troop doing a gold award. So we have been coming up with some ideas that we could do, and we can work together and all fundraise together and like split the cost and stuff. And so between the two, I'm hoping it'll cover the cost of my whole project, and then I can also go to local, like the Reed's Ferry wood market that's up here, and I'm able to ask for like if they have any that they don't want that they can give me, or a discount price or anything. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and then the here are like average costs. Like COVID has really raised the prices of woods. So if we use cedar, and at its highest average price, it would be around $300 for all 5 of the stands. And then if we decided to use the anchor cement, it would be around $13 for all of them. For the gravel, it would be around $25 for them, and the paint would be around $50 to $100. And then, of course, the prices will vary. Well, like whichever one I decide to do or we decide to do, and then that's the cost for the cedar is at the highest price that it's been so far. So it shouldn't be that high. But yeah, thank you for letting me present my project, and I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thanks, you did a tremendous job. Finley?
Yes, I did.
I think that's a great idea. I'm impressed. I have no imagination. I cannot think of anything creative like that. But as far as my input on what you use, I know it's the most expensive, but I'm thinking that the cedar definitely is much more, repels bugs and everything for a much longer period than other wood. And depending if you wanted to finish it, I don't know that that would be necessary. The maintenance would be much less from our probably Conservation Commission standpoint on some of those, but that's just my thoughts, but I'm not gonna be the one to tell you to go with the most expensive thing. I'll let somebody else do that. But no, I appreciate it. I think it's a great idea, and it'll make life easy for a lot of people. So,
Thank you.
That's awesome. You were describing an 8 to 9 foot tall pole that's 4 to 5 feet going into the ground, and then is this, now at one point I thought I saw somewhere that you were intending to have the phone stand be adjustable up and down on the pole, or just mounted on the top, or?
Yes, that was when I wasn't sure exactly where I was gonna put them. But I have it so that I'm gonna put them facing like where the picture.
Where you can get a
yeah.
nice picture, yeah.
Yeah, and I have it like at high enough points where you shouldn't have to like twist it up and down to get the picture. So I decided to like keep that part out because I thought that
Okay,
I had already put them in pretty good places that you won't have to adjust them.
okay, so you're not gonna be able to spin them or move them up and down?
No.
Okay. I just thought I'd seen something like that stated somewhere, and I wanted to get clarity on
Yeah.
what you meant. I think you're doing a great presentation. It's a great idea. As Finley said, it never would have occurred to me to do something like that, but hopefully the positions are good and people will enjoy that. Eileen?
Really great presentation.
Thank
That
you.
was so good. And really great idea. Now, I'm wondering how, so it's going to obviously blend in beautifully and naturally with the natural environment. How might somebody know what that is and how to use it if you were walking by?
I know my Girl Scout troop has done a lot of like wood burnings so that you can like engrave stuff onto the wood without like having to like scrape it in there or anything. So I've thought about like putting like selfie stand on it at like somewhere at some point, and maybe like a little description or something like that. And then one part of the Girl Scout Gold Award is making like a global aspect, which could just be like posters, like letting people know, like a little sign letting people know that they're there and stuff like that. So I was thinking about making a poster and like hanging it up at the high school or hanging it up somewhere in a store or something. I know I work at Shaw's, so I could put it up at Shaw's, just letting people know that those are there. And
I was going to say, Councilor Harrington just stole my thunder. We've got kiosk at the entrance.
Yeah.
Entrances, can put them right there
Mhm.
to highlight that.
You would think they could be added to the trail maps
Yeah.
that were just talked about by Steve, that, a
Absolutely.
little note in the side
Mhm.
saying, here's a phone stand
Yeah.
for taking a picture, So that would be awesome as well.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Lon?
Yeah, Sarah, I just am very, very appreciative of your common sense presentation.
She did
You've
a
given
good job.
yourself some latitude. Obviously, you've looked into this in a great, a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
I just appreciate it. You kids, excuse me, everyone, continue to just impress me
Thank you.
very, very positively. Thank you.
That's awesome. Your question about cement or stone, have you resolved that, or are you still?
I'm still open to ideas. My dad is actually like a surveyor and works for WSP, so I've talked it over with him a lot and about like the tools where I can take the soil out with, and he says he can provide them for me from his office, and so we've talked it over, and he says that both ideas would be good. I know the Conservation Commission had like some like doubts about the cement where they said that they'd prefer like gravel, so that I've kind of thought about that more than cement, but I'm open to any ideas that you guys have.
Yeah, I personally don't have a knowledgeable preference one way or the other, but I was curious. It seems like stone, over time, would get a little looser, maybe, but I'm not sure. And concrete, if you're only putting a foot or two of it down 3 or 4 feet, it's probably not going to be a major issue either.
Yeah.
So whatever works, as far as I'm concerned. Nancy?
Okay.
Plus, you can't pick up a thing of cement and walk away with it. Or you could, but you have to really work at it.
Yeah.
So to me, you could really cover it up. If you had cement, like Tom said, you wouldn't have to have a
Just down at the
substantial
base,
amount.
Yeah.
And it could be covered with dirt, so you're not even gonna see it. So personally, unless there's an ecological reason why there shouldn't be it. And I do want to add on, I thought your presentation was good. And what was good about it is you didn't have to read it. You knew what the information was, and you presented it in a very natural way. And that's really important. So I don't know what your plan is in the future. But whenever you have to do a presentation, just feel really comfortable, just like you did tonight, and you're gonna find you're gonna do a good job. So it's
Thank
good
you.
for you. But my personal thing is cement. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Unless there's a reason. Maybe there's a ecological reason, but you're not gonna, if you really want that, you're gonna have to work really hard, so that's my opinion.
Yeah, and on the cedar question, I realize the cedar's more expensive, but by the time you pay for pressure-treated lumber or whatever, which the Conservation Commission may prefer not to have stuck in the ground, and then paint it and go to that kind of headache and trouble, it may not be that big a difference. I don't know what the price difference in the wood is, but, you know, $50 to $100 for paint, plus the time and labor and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It, I think would answer the question for me, but anyway, good job. If there are no other questions, we could take a motion to approve the project and encourage you to charge forward. Moved by Lon Woods, seconded by Barbara Healy. Any other comments or questions?
Just cedar, cement, great job, and I wish you the best of luck. You're making,
She's unstoppable, huh?
you're making our parks even more enjoyable, so thank you very much for what you are doing, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? It's 7-0-0. With our blessings, go forth and have a great time,
Thank you.
and we thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you, Sarah.
If you need anything from us as far as your gold award, approval from the town or something, let Eileen know or send it to Becky or something. We'll get it taken care of.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
And I know it's gonna be difficult, but try and enjoy your senior year.
Thank
know.
you.
It's gonna be a fun year, huh?
Yeah.
A different one at
Tough
least.
for you and your classmates.
Yeah.
Barbara's suggestion, we could go back to number 1 under new business. The town council to consider the proclamation to call upon the residents of the town of Merrimack to toll bells in remembrance of those who served in World War I at 11 a.m. on November 11, 2020, as part of this annual event. Barbara, did you want to talk to it, or?
Actually, I have Larry Miller here, who is a member of the Military Officers Association of New Hampshire, and can give you a little bit more information on how this particular event was started about 2 years ago, and what it means across the country and for the state of New Hampshire.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Larry Miller, and I am not a World War I veteran, so. Yeah,
You're really chipper for a World War I veteran. We appreciate you being here to help us.
I want to thank the council, and especially Barbara and Bob Healy, for helping me set up this proclamation. And I am on the board of directors of the Military Officers Association of America and New Hampshire especially. And this is the 102nd anniversary of the ending of World War I, this November 11th. And it is the World War I Centennial Commission that has set this up. We have never in America had a national monument to World War I. They have put together the monument. Now, John J. Pershing had a monument down there, has a monument down there, and they expanded that to make it to be the World War I memorial. So that should be finished shortly. And so they have this proclamation going on since 2018, the 100th anniversary of the Bells of Peace. And of course, the bells of Europe rang November 11th, and Big Ben was the first one to be rung after 4 years of war. So, and I want to, since I introduced myself, I want to introduce two more people. You may have not known, they are Merrimack residents, and they have been residents here for over 100 years. And their names are James H. Ferguson and Gilbert Duncan Frazier. Those two names are on the plaque up at the New Hampshire State House, and those two names are on the monument in front of the church across the street. New Hampshire in World War I offered up 2,000 men to go to World War I and fight. 697 of them, of New Hampshire's men, did not come back. James Ferguson and Gilbert Fraser were two of those men who did not come back. You'll find not only those two names on the monument across the street, but you'll find other men's names on there for World War I who had served from Merrimack. What I did find a little bit about Gilbert Duncan Fraser. So this is a little 2 sentences out of the Saturday Evening Post, 31st of August, 1918. Early in the fighting in Belleau Woods on June 13th, Private Gilbert D. Fraser, 18th Company, 5th Regiment, U.S. Marines, was shot through the stomach. In spite of the agony he suffered, he kept up a steady fire against a machine gun, yelling lustily the while for more ammunition until he dropped unconscious. That's the bravery of our one citizen and our two citizens who have given their lives during World War I. And I just wanted to let everybody know what their names were, and that they did live, and they lived here in Merrimack, and they served in the Marines there during World War I. And the commission has a proclamation. I presume you got it there.
Yeah, we do.
Did you want to read it, or
Would you like to read it?
Either of us, I don't care.
have-
I'll read it.
You have more experience reading than
The
I do.
Bells of Peace, a World War I Remembrance Proclamation. Whereas a century ago, 4.7 million American families sent their sons and daughters off to World War I, and whereas men and women from Merrimack, New Hampshire, as well as all over the state of New Hampshire and the United States served selflessly and honorably in World War I, whereas 116,516 Americans gave their lives in the war and more than 200,000 were wounded, whereas the tolling of the bells is the traditional expression of honor and remembrance, and whereas on November 2020, the world will commemorate the 102nd anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Whereas on April 6, 2018, the United States World War I Centennial Commission called upon all Americans across the nation to toll bells in remembrance of those who served in World War I on Armistice Day as an annual event. And now therefore be it resolved that the town of Merrimack, New Hampshire, does hereby call upon all residents across our town to toll bells in remembrance of those who served in World War I at 11 a.m. on November 11th of 2020 as part of this annual event. We urge the people and organizations of Merrimack to display the American flag as well as other public expressions of recognition and remembrance of our World War I veterans. Proclaimed this 29th day of October 2020 by the Merrimack Town Council. So that's the proclamation we'd like to issue. If there's a motion to accept that.
So moved?
Moved by Barbara, seconded by Nancy. All those in favor? Do you want to talk to us?
Just a very quick comment off of Mr. Miller to amplify his comments. Gilbert Duncan Fraser is the reason why we have Fraser Square down the south end of town. And we also have a picture of him and the medals that he earned in Belleau Wood on display here in Town Hall. As a matter of fact, he was awarded the Silver Star. I believe it was the Silver Star for the act of gallantry that you talked about, and he was 18 years old when he lost his life. So I think that really puts a lot of things into perspective when you think about it. So you can't miss the little display that we have for Private Fraser in our town hall. When you're standing in line in the clerk's office, it's prominently displayed on the right-hand side, Mr. Chairman, and to my colleagues. So next time people come in, I urge them to take a look at the picture and see the youthful expression on Gilbert Fraser's face before he embarked on an interesting period of our history. So thank you very much for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know if he was brought back to America or not.
That I don't know. I
Yeah,
think he's buried. I think he is buried over there, over in
Yes,
France.
I did hear something on a show I was watching that they were all buried over there in Europe, and they were not allowed by the countries to come home. They were buried right there. That is all the countries, the allies, I should say.
Yeah.
So I presume he is too.
Yeah.
Thank you much for the information.
Okay. So we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 7-0-0. And we have our signed proclamation here. Thank you very much, Pat and Larry. We appreciate it. Does that bring us back to our old business? I don't know what ours. So that brings us back to the CIP Sidewalk Project discussion. Sorry to extend that out. Submitted by the town manager, Eileen Cabanel, the town council to be presented with and to discuss the status of the CIP sidewalk projects.
As you may recall, during the budget process, we talked at length about putting together a program as Nelson and his committee had recommended relative to sidewalks. And I had asked Kyle, our Public Works Director, to put together a list of sidewalk projects that cost approximately $200,000 apiece in order to put into the Capital Reserve Fund. So when that came up at the meeting, there was a lot of discussion about which one that the council wanted to do. And in order to move things along, we decided to approve the concept and the money of the $200,000 for sidewalks, but did not definitively come up with which sidewalk project that you wanted to approve. So before we entered into that commitment, I wanted to make sure that you looked at it. Kyle is recommending the Woodward, and Nelson are recommending the Woodbury Street
Woodbury, yeah.
sidewalks. And Kyle is here to answer any questions or to go over this in more detail. You have attached the memo that he originally gave during the budget of those projects and the amounts of money. Thank you.
Peter?
I've had a chance to think about this, and I know the discussion we had, I'm familiar, I've read the supporting information, and in light of all that, I would recommend, it's my personal opinion, I like the idea of, I'm
Can you
sorry.
use your mic?
Yeah, I like the idea of moving forward with the sidewalk on Woodbury Street. I think that kind of completes a parcel that the Town Center Commission has worked very hard on, and I respect that, and I'd like to see that next piece of the puzzle put together. And we have a good list of targets going forward for the future. So that's just this one councilor's opinion.
Finley?
And I agree with Peter. It's, of the 5 noted projects in that memo, it's one that's utilized quite extensively during the school year by, well, normally by the students. Now half of them use it, but, so I'm advocating the same thing, the Town Center Committee, as well as their liaison is desirous of that also, so.
Okay. That's number 6 on the Town Center Pedestrian and Trail Master Plan priorities. Do you want to speak to that priority list, Nelson, just to give us a better understanding of why that would be the first one to choose?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Town Center Committee sort of changed that priority after the fact, thinking that observing what was going on out there during the school year. Now, it's a limited time, but during that school let-out session, there's a large number of people who actually walk in the street. And it occurred to us that it seemed like a safety situation. There are some places in town that are worse for safety, that are in our priorities, but they're all connected to this bridge construction on Babusick Brook. You know, that's the worst spot where you're talking about walking on Route 3. And so the committee, when looking at what should we do next, said, well, they're gonna do the bridge, the state is gonna do the bridge in the intersection with Wire Road, which connects to the other piece north of the library. And so that's how this one rose to the top of the surface. In the view of the committee, that was what they thought was the next best one to do. It could stand alone. It would provide an important safety feature, and that's why they went that way.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very much. I
yeah.
appreciate the extra input. Does anybody else have any thoughts on it they want to share? Nancy?
I concur. I had the same question as you too, because according to the plan that we had received, it was number 6 out of the group, but it certainly makes sense with what Nelson just said, and I concur with Pete and Finley. So I would support as well Woodbury.
Barbara?
Yeah, I just have a different view on putting a sidewalk on that particular street. Granted, it sees some action before school and after school. Other than that, there's one house on that street. And there isn't a lot going on, because I've actually sat out there watching it for a while, because I knew this was coming up at some point. And I wasn't really familiar with really how much action does it get during the day. There are places along other roads that I see people actually walking on all during the day. So, and to put $200,000 on a side street with one house, I just don't see it. I'm sorry. Because we're not only talking about building the road, we're talking about building the sidewalk, clearing the sidewalk in the winter, and then any maintenance that it needs as well. I don't see the expenditure on that street.
Do you have a suggestion for another? From the list?
From the list?
I was just curious.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Anybody else? I hear what you're saying, and I understand your thought processes. I still think that there's a fair amount of activity and safety concerns on Woodbury, so that I would support that as well. But thanks for that insight and input.
Sure.
I really appreciate it.
It's a lot of money.
Do we have a Bill?
Eileen, can I ask Kyle a couple of questions?
No.
No?
No, I'm
Okay,
just
thanks.
kidding. Yes, you
Okay.
can.
I'll go home.
He didn't ask you, he asked me. The answer's yes.
Well,
It's all yours.
So Kyle, in reading your memo, we're talking about easements on either the north side or on the south side. I'm trying to understand, are we putting sidewalks on both sides of the street, or are we gonna pick one side or the other based on how easy it's gonna be for the town to get easements?
Our current plan is to put it on the south side.
Okay,
The properties on the south side are Buckley's on the lower corner
Buckley's
next
in
to
the school
Daniel
district.
Webster, and then the
one
school
house.
district. So
and what else is
Um,
right?
the Buckley's parcel, there's actually quite a bit of right-of-way that we already own.
Okay.
So we won't need to do any acquisitions there. And of course, the school district, I'm assuming it would be a
Would be
relatively
supportive.
easy process to get the easement from them.
Okay. The follow-up question would be, is it when you're coming down Woodbury Street on the southerly side, there's a significant drop-off because you've got that big hill that goes up.
Correct.
I'm assuming you factored the engineering so that whatever gets built there, it's gonna be supported, it's not gonna be sliding off,
Washing out.
pushing out?
Yeah, we haven't done any engineering yet. We've been
Okay.
waiting for the decision.
Gotcha.
But we do know that it's not going to be an easy project because of that big ditch line. You may recall back in, I want to say it was 2008, we reconstructed Woodbury Street and we put new drainage in. So along the curb lines, there's new drainage structures, and that'll take care of all the street drainage for the sidewalk project. The ditch line behind it takes quite a bit of water all the way from McElwain Street to Bishop Street. Quite quite a bit of area there. So we're gonna have to work that into the design, how to convey that water
Right.
to the bottom of the hill, into that wetland. But that'll be part of the design.
Okay, because that was one of my questions as well.
Yeah.
The other question was consideration given to creating if we were to construct the sidewalk there, putting striping there so that you would actually delineate parking spaces along Woodbury Street running from the top of McElwain going down to DW?
Enough room.
That's not something we've considered. You know, I guess maybe that's a town council decision. The road is 24 feet wide, like the rest of our roads.
And how
Are you suggesting widening the road to accommodate parking?
Oh, boy.
Just trying to understand.
To be candid with you, I'm thinking if you build the sidewalk and you put the parking, you're gonna narrow the street just enough so that it actually creates the level of traffic calming that I think is necessary because of people leaving the school, getting down there to go to DW Highway. I actually think you force people to drive a little bit more slower on both sides because, I mean, dare I say, you're narrowing that particular stretch of road. So I'm not actually advocating that the road be wide. I'm actually looking at it from a traffic calming perspective, which is why had you considered putting some striping there to put some parking spaces there, because as and I hate to open up Pandora's box on this, but
Too late.
Then don't.
too late. You know, now you're creating a little bit more of access to Watson Park as a consequence of building a sidewalk and actually putting a level of parking there so that people don't feel there's another place for people in our community to access parking to be able to access Watson Park. It's the only reason why I asked the question.
I think it's certainly an idea that's worth looking into.
Okay,
When we do the survey, we're gonna survey all the way to the top of the hill, by the SAU building.
okay.
Anyway, because we've got to tie into the slopes. I don't think we could do it without widening the road at least some. You need about 8 feet wide minimum to do a parallel parking spot.
Right.
And that would only leave us 16 feet of road for buses, that would be pretty tight. But if we did a 4-foot widening, then we could leave 2 10-foot lanes. It's certainly something we can explore, get a cost estimate, and come back to you with if that's the council's desire.
I mean, I'm just one person. I certainly would be interested to see what it would look like conceptually from, obviously conceptual purpose, but also from a price tag perspective. So, but one last question, then Eileen had her hand raised. Just to confirm, I know you said you did drainage. We're not going to be disrupting the work that was done, or they're going to be based. I heard what you said. Are you going to have to change anything that was done back to the drainage, or is it going to?
No, we'll work with the drainage that's
Work with
there,
okay.
so long as curb line stays in the same spot.
I got you.
If we do the road widening concept, we'd have to do something different, but that's okay too.
Okay.
Just cost a little more.
It's only money. Peter?
You know, and I discussed this, Kyle, I think I sent you an email a while ago, same thing. And one of the other benefits I see from something like that, as Bill's talked about, is on Woodbury Street, you've got Buckley's, you've got that one residence, I don't know the name of the folks that live there, and then you've got the woods going up the hill, and I thought that would create an access way another access way for people to walk into the Souhegan River Trail, somewhere down along that way. So I agree with Bill that I think in the future, we're gonna need some more parking in that area. And again, if it's cost prohibitive, it's cost prohibitive, but I'd be curious to know as well.
Eileen?
This is kind of a dumb question, but you're used to that from me. So is Woodbury one way, or
No, it's 2 ways.
have we considered making it one way?
We haven't, and in fact, a couple of years ago,
It used to be.
there was a restriction from Daniel Webster as you're coming north
That's right.
on DW, there was a
No left
restriction,
turn.
no left turn into Woodbury because of sight distance issues around the curve by the fire station. That was eliminated by the council, I want to say
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
Approximately, yeah.
And I was not a fan of that, I'll be honest. Chief Living likes to remind me how well it's worked. So, no,
No,
he
No,
was all
it's,
for
it's
it.
nice having that left
Yes.
turn.
it works well.
I like having it, but I thought there might be accidents there, and thus far,
Yeah, I was gonna say, now that there's gonna.
there hasn't been. So
be all be your
it's
fault.
worked very well.
Finley?
The reason, I do remember when they made it so you couldn't turn, heading northbound, you couldn't turn left in certain times, and you.
And southbound, you couldn't turn.
Right, and then
or
from the top
eastbound
during
on
2 to
Woodbury,
3.
you couldn't turn north.
You know, and
Yeah.
the reason is they wanted the traffic to go McElwain and clockwise around down Route 3. And that was back probably in the, I don't know, mid-90s they did that. And the change has been beneficial, I think.
Absolutely.
It helps with the traffic flow and so on. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Kyle, I appreciate it.
So, can I get clarification on the widening concept? Is that something we should explore? The parking concept?
Not for
I'll
my
call it that.
benefit, but what do people think? Finley?
From a cost, if you can do it for a few dollars, I'm not opposed to that, but I don't want to spend a lot of engineering costs on it personally. But if it's something, you can do the thumbnail or whatever they call it.
Back of the
For an
napkin.
idea, if it would generally fit.
Yeah, we should be able to do that without too much extra cost to kind of get a budget cost for each scenario.
Yeah, if it's not too much, then I'm not opposed to it.
Me too, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to see what something like that would be.
Okay, I don't know. My guess is it's gonna be too much. It's gonna go way over our 200,000, but it may be beneficial to do. It never occurred to me to widen the street
Me either.
in order to
yeah.
add parking, so. Lon?
Yeah, I'm not about to try to design or whatever a road tonight, but I would encourage us and DPW to keep in mind the school, central campus, whatever planning that might have something to do with that corner.
For sure.
Okay, so I think it would be worth looking into, if you can kind of back of the napkin, figure it out, back of the envelope,
Yep, we'll do.
some ballpark numbers,
Napkin, but no envelope.
but whatever works.
Is that kind of a night, I'm sorry.
Okay, it has to be an envelope. Nancy won't accept a napkin. Just,
Whatever.
with that discussion, do we want to move forward with Woodbury, or what's the will of the council at this point? We would need a motion.
Looks like,
Okay,
and Pete second.
made by Finley and seconded by Pete to advance the Woodbury sidewalk as our item of choice and to get some further clarification on whether we could or should widen the road and consider parking on that side as well. If there's no further discussion, Lon?
Just one question. The Woodbury sidewalk is tied in with the CIP, correct?
Yes.
I don't know whether there's implications of contemplating a redesign or not, but just keep that in mind.
Oh, I
If I
understand.
vote for this, and I will, I'm gonna vote for the language that is in this memo for discussion.
So if there's any change, Lon, just to follow up with your question. So if there is a determination that the parking is feasible, then we would have to come back and determine that. Is that correct?
Based on the cost.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. But thank you for that clarification. I didn't even think of it, and you're right on the money.
So we're voting to approve the sidewalk. We're asking you to look into and come back to us with information on whether we could widen the road as part of that project and add parking. But that's not part of the approval, it's just a request. Is that
Right.
clear enough? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? And, okay, so there's 6-1-0 with Barbara Healy opposed, and an extra 2 votes from Nelson out in the audience. Thank you.
We can see his smile behind the mask.
Come on, it was my act of humor, but anyway.
And it was a
Okay.
good one.
That brings us back, thank you, thanks Kyle. Brings us back to our agenda in order. We're on number 3, a grant acceptance for the town clerk tax collector's office. As printed, submitted by the town clerk tax collector Diane Trippett, town council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a COVID-19 response grant for the town clerk tax collector's office in the amount of $7,858.14, made available through the Center for Tech and Civic Life for the purpose of planning and operationalizing safe and secure election administration in the town of Merrimack in 2020 pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 8-15. Diane, welcome and thank you for coming.
Hello, yes.
Hi.
It's good news when I can ask you to take money.
There you go, to get money
So,
instead of having to take it from
yes.
people or
Yeah,
spend it.
this grant, actually, I almost missed it. The NHMA reached out to the New Hampshire City and Town Clerks, who sent out an email on October 6th, and the deadline was the 15th. With all the email that I've been getting with election-related, it's been very difficult to keep up. Saw that and applied, and we had an answer within days that we were eligible. The grant is based on, as you know, there are a lot of grants out there because of COVID this time. This was the first one that I knew of, election-related, specifically for town clerks. The minimum amount that they were awarding is $5,000. As you noted, we received $7,858.
500 and change.
$858.
Sorry.
And the grant amounts were based on how many registered voters you have in your municipality, how much staff you have in your department, the election budget, and how many absentee ballots you processed in the 2016 election. So they're anticipating those increases. I can tell you that I am forever grateful, not for COVID, but for the COVID relief money that we have been able to utilize. This has been extremely challenging, 3 back-to-back elections for our department. I will tell you that a normal presidential election is huge to our department. On New Year's Day, I kissed my husband, said, "Happy New Year's, I'll see you in July," and then again for Thanksgiving. Never in my, and he said, "Why?" I said, "Because it's a presidential election year, I'll be living at the town hall." And never in my wildest imagination did I anticipate what has happened this year, as nobody can.
As nobody has,
So with this money, it will definitely help us offset our cost. We've hired 2 full-time temporary people to come in and help. We've hired 5 part-time people, temporary. They work a variety of hours to come in and help. And we've been utilizing town staff. And we've been right out straight just working election-related. It's about all we're doing other than keeping people's cars registered right now. So I am grateful for the support from all of you, from the town manager, from Paul, from the department heads here at Town Hall. Every department, every department has offered assistance to us. The community's been wonderful. Despite how awful it is dealing with COVID, it really has brought a lot together. But this money is just so appreciated, and I'm hoping you will authorize Eileen to sign for the grant and accept it.
Great. Anybody have any questions? I guess I was curious as to what you actually asked for in the grant, because the paperwork back here talks a lot about background stuff and whatnot. It doesn't really say But it does say that you can't use this to supplant monies that you've already received for COVID-19 relief.
So they didn't ask, and when you applied for the grant, they didn't ask you what you were looking for. We just got awarded a dollar amount based on what we anticipate using. We have to tell them how we're using it and how we're spending it. There's some reporting that needs to be done, but I can tell you right now, we're spending a lot on personnel, and right there, that is
That'll
going to
cover
be.
it, huh?
That'll cover, absolutely.
And you don't see a burdensome expense in being able to file the reports back and stuff like that relative to the $7,000 that
It-
you are getting?
Doesn't appear to be. They didn't give us a lot of information at this point as to what the reporting requirements are. It just, it's a very basic that, they say that it won't involve a lot of time, and it just says that you have to submit how you spent the grant funds, and you have to submit the report by January 31st. Beyond that, they don't give a lot of details as to what in particular they're going to be asking for. We are keeping a large number of records. I know finance is probably overwhelmed with the amount of detail that they have to
Oh, yeah.
do with all of the COVID money.
Yeah.
So we are already gathering a huge amount of information, so I'm thinking that they should be able to parse
pull this
that out.
pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Mr. Chairman, in our packet that the clerk put together for us, there's a letter from the Center for Tech and Civic Life, which is the grantor of the grant. On page 2 of their letter, number 3, they specifically write that the grantee, with the town of Merrimack being the grantee, has indicated that the amount of the grant shall be expended on the following specific election administration needs: PPE for staff, poll workers, or voters, poll worker recruitment funds, hazard pay or training expenses, temporary staffing, or vote-by-mail absentee voting equipment or supplies. So
Yeah.
they've indicated that that's where the money is going towards, so I think this is well-earned and well-deserved, to be perfectly honest with you, and I'm very grateful that the clerk took time out of her schedule to make the application to be awarded this amount of money for us to put on an amazing election for our community members.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Nancy?
Just while I have your attention, I concur. I think we should, it's a no-brainer, why shouldn't we? I just want to take the opportunity to really let you know that I've only heard good things about what's going on with the whole process of absentee ballots. And, you know, it's so easy. You're in and out in 20 minutes, and that only encourages more people. And I was at the town hall today.
This
Was it
morning,
today?
yes.
Anyway, forget what day it was.
No, it was
And
today.
it was very busy, even at the very short
Yeah.
time, and that's been consistent.
Yeah.
So I think the word has gotten out that it's a painless experience, but it looks painless in terms of the process, but to get the work behind that is not painless. So I just want to give kudos to you,
Thank you.
to Lynn and the whole town staff for making it appear that way. And I know there's a lot of work behind it, so thank you.
Thank you, and especially the staff. As you know, I've been telling you, and I'm sure you get the reports that I send to Eileen. Three of my counter clerks are new this year. You
Yeah.
know, this is the first time
Right.
they've ever experienced
Baptism by
this.
fire.
And, exactly, and the people that we've hired to come in, we had to train them.
Right.
Some are people who worked for the supervisors of the checklist, so they did have some background in the software and registering people to vote, but everybody is learning the whole absentee ballot process, the whole election process, primarily everyone who's working in there. So there are some bumps in the roads. There are some details that maybe get missed,
You do
or,
the best.
and we're
But even
backlogged,
multiply
but
the whole
it's-
COVID thing.
Yep,
I mean, that just
absolutely.
adds.
Absolutely. So everyone has done, I am so proud of all of them,
Yeah.
and for stepping up to the volunteers when we contacted them and said, would you be interested? It's just been phenomenal, and to think that everybody's fairly new.
But it was well organized
Thank you.
and well, you know, and that's half the battle, so whoever
We
did
try
that,
hard.
you or whoever did it.
Try hard,
And the only advantage is it's going to be over very soon.
yes.
And I think we all feel that way.
Or
I
at
think
least
the
we go to the
community
next
feels that
phase,
way.
whatever that is, yeah.
So anyway,
Okay. Any other comments? Kudos. I think you get the feeling that the whole council is behind the work that you folks are doing, and thank you very much for that. And we'll do what we need to do, come Tuesday at least, to help out in
Absolutely.
our small
Plan
way.
for a very
yeah.
long day.
yeah.
But,
Wear your sneakers.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the town council accept and expend a COVID-19 response grant for the town clerk/tax collector's office in the amount of $7,858 made available through the Center for Tech and Civic Life for the purpose of planning and operationalizing safe and secure election administration in the town of Merrimack in 2020 pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 8-15, and furthermore, that the town manager or her proxy be authorized to sign what paperwork is necessary to accept and expend said money.
Second.
motion made by Bill Boyd and seconded by Lon Woods. A call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 7-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have
We'll
a
see
good
you
night.
next week.
We'll see you
Yeah, we
Tuesday.
sure will.
And Diane, continued thanks to everybody for all their hard work. Appreciate it.
Okay. That brings us to, and Matt's aware, number 4, the discussion on the holiday happenings events related to COVID-19 submitted by Parks and Rec Director Matthew Kasparius. The town council to discuss and consider the Parks and Recreation Department's proposed plans related to the annual holiday parade and tree lighting and any other events that may take place in advance in accordance with COVID-19 guidelines. And it looks like we get a presentation too.
I was asked to, so. Give me 1 second, and let's hope this is a new Chromebook, so we're gonna, hopefully it works. Ba-da-da-da. If not, we can wing it, but
We know how to wing really well.
we do. Well, the question is, will it pick up the projector? I mean, will it pick up the document here? Come on. It's not. It is not. This is the problem we were having before.
It's 71 degrees. We're
Are
fighting.
you cold now or what?
He's freezing.
I guess we'll switch over.
So
to
now we
that
have a
then.
queen of the dead and queen of the heat.
How about just old and cold?
You know, you know this thing about payback? It'll come. When you least expect it.
Well, I've got 2 long sleeves on, so I'm fine.
He's freezing. I mean, are you cold? Are you cold, Mr. Woods? No. You're fine, right?
I'm fine. You fine?
It was 75, but when I put it down, I knew I wasn't having a hot flash. It was hot.
I know how much you guys like having you here at the end of the night. You know what, Matt, you don't need to do it.
We do have,
You could just explain it to
we
us,
do have your,
your letter.
we've got your letter anyway, your memo, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't. That was Paul's, he's watching this right now. Hi, Paul.
So, throw Paul under the
Oh,
bus.
check that out.
Speaking of Paul, he's excused from being here tonight, obviously. Is he still out of town, or
Nope, he is in town and he is quarantining
because he traveled out of
because
the
he
region,
traveled out of the state.
Okay,
state and region?
and there it went again, sort of. Anyway, good evening, everybody. What a weird year it's been, huh? You know,
Say the
from
least.
4th of July, canceling all of that, and we were able to do, a few different things this summer. We got our summer concert series in. We got 9 concerts in. So we were averaging about 100 people, which is less than what we normally have. But, we did 3 movie nights in the park. And then just last week, we did our annual Halloween, a COVID-friendly annual Halloween party, which we called the Monster Stroll last week. And with the concerts and the movies, what we saw was people were really good about wearing masks and about being socially distant. I remember talking with you guys back in June, I think it was, about, okay, do we need to paint circles on the lawn to make sure people stay in there? And we didn't. And we never got to the point where we felt we had to do that. And as I said, last week we did our Halloween party, which was an entirely outdoor event. And we had made people register in advance for 300 tickets, which actually sold out in less than 24 hours. And they had to register for a specific time spot, and then obviously masks were required. But we had 24 businesses and community organizations participated, and basically once people checked in with us, we had electronic tickets that were scanned with a barcode scanner, and once they checked in, they traveled this very specific and unique path so that there was never crowds gathering, and that's really what made it work. We usually work with in the fall, we usually work with the police department on National Night Out, and when we talked about it, there was just no way to meet kind of the festival and event guidelines in the mask ordinance that the governor had put out when you've got 400, 500, 600 people in one spot, And, with Halloween, people felt safe, they felt comfortable. We did, had a bunch of people not show up that had gotten tickets, but again, it was nice and spread out and, but holiday happenings, is a little bit of a different story. Again, it's kind of like the National Night Out event is that everybody's there at the same time. And now with Halloween, in a normal year, we get 20 or 25 volunteers from Merrimack High School and from some of the local colleges. This year we got 5. And that made it a little bit challenging. With the holiday parade, I need 10 or 15 people just to coordinate the logistics down at the plaza, just to get the logistics, and never mind trying to enforce mask ordinance. And and one of the things that governor's order does is puts the onus on us to enforce that. And how do you enforce the people on the float, but also the crowds watching the parade? And then what typically happens is, all the people on those floats all come to Abbey Griffin Park. And then so all the parents that are watching their kids that were in the parade also come, so we usually have 600 people at the tree lighting. And for me, that just makes me really uncomfortable, And so for my first part of this is not feeling like we can safely do a parade. It's kind of the same issue we had back in July with the 4th, knowing that that's what's going to happen, And again, now we're in cold and flu season, so it's even worse. And so again, my recommendation here is to not do the parade, but we do have some kind of socially distant alternative activities this year. And so the first one we're looking at is what I'm, for the moment, calling Santa's Merrimack Holiday Tour. Collaboration between police, fire, and us. Basically, we're going to send Santa and Mrs. Claus in one of the fire department vehicles on a tour through the main routes of town, and we're going to publicize a map, which is, here's the various places in town where you can go watch them, and some of the kind of like the major parking areas, maybe it's the Merrimack 360 Plaza, and they drive through the plaza. And so Santa and Mrs. Claus can be waving out the window, and it's kind of like, okay, he'll be in this part of town from this time to this time, and then they'll just, kind of drive through. We are still kind of finalizing the map, but we've got it almost done. I talked to Chief Duke this afternoon, and we're just about there. So we given your blessing, we'll be able to finalize that in the next day or two. And then we'll dictate, it'll probably be like 2:45. It'll probably take an hour plus to get through the route that we've identified. And then he'll come back here, and then our second portion of that day, and this is December 6th, looking at a very small portion of a tree lighting. In a normal year, we've got, again, 600 people there, and it's kind of elbow to elbow. and it's usually about an hour long. In this case, we're looking at obviously cutting out food, no hot chocolate, no photos with Santa. And so it would be basically Santa comes in, and largely to any small crowd that might show up. We do official countdown. We can record it for people that might want to watch it or see the pictures or those kinds of things. Most years we get the high school band to come and play a couple of songs after marching in the parade. Their status is unknown at this point, and it really depends on what happens with the school district in the next month. The band director tells me that right now they need 120 yards of space to fit the whole band out socially distanced. So what they can do is probably send us 10 people to do a couple of songs and be socially distanced. And again, now you also don't have all the other 100 members or however many were in the band this year, and their parents, and again driving the crowd. But it's going to, again, depend in the next couple of weeks on what happens with school district and whether they stay hybrid or go full back or full remote or, whatever. We usually have Broadway Bound come in and, again, do kind of a socially distanced dance performance, and I'll show you. So here is kind of Abbey Griffin Park, and what we would do is obviously if those two groups are able to definitively join us, we would, kind of cone off and tape off an area for them to spread out to, so they can maintain their social distancing. And then we would be looking at, small pods, on the lawn for the winter. And the circles are obviously not to scale. It's just kind of representation of, each group stands in a circle and enjoys this short performance. And, we can probably handle 150 people down there without worrying about social distancing. And if we take away the parade, then that kind of solves that issue anyway, I think, especially if they go watch Santa downtown or, in their neighborhoods, which is kind of what we're going to be promoting. I've talked to Merrimack TV a little bit about, we're going to do some kind of TV shows in advance to talk about kind of socially distanced holidays this year and kind of, again, promotion of, hey, go watch him downtown and wave to him as he goes by, and those types of things. We actually did a promo video last year for the holiday parade and the tree lighting, and we're going to kind of modify that video from last year and kind of reuse it a little bit and add some new components with quotes from Santa Claus and that kind of thing. And so I think in those circles it works out. We did briefly consider moving a tree lighting over to Watson Park this year, and really, does give you more room to spread out, but realistically the big issue is parking, and I know Rotary has requested to sell their trees in the parking lot, and we're happy to let them do that again this year. And I'm not sure if they're coming to you at your next meeting or when that is, but.
I'm sorry, they actually come to me.
Oh,
and
okay.
I approved it, and I attached, the governor's requirements to their approval. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, but that would obviously further complicate parking down there. And if you get any kind of snow, then you can't, then you're really in trouble. So we felt it was best to kind of keep it where it was. Item 3 of 5 that week. It's going to be a busy week for us. And this is one we do every year, but I want to mention it just for the benefit of people at home and just so you know that we do it. Every year we run a Santa Calling program. It's been in conjunction with the police department, although it's gotten bigger kind of every year. But this year it's going to be December 8th and 9th, and it is exactly what it sounds, which is Santa and Mrs. Claus will make calls to Merrimack children who register for participation. We've had some years where we've had as many of 150 kids get calls. A lot of it we get volunteers from police, fire, public works, library, and obviously Parks and Rec. And just a nice free thing. They love the calls and the kind of the excitement of all of that. So I mentioned it again. The details, we're kind of finalizing those details now. So registration for it will be coming out soon, probably next week. Item number 4 is we're going to do a food drive this year in this same week. Police and DPW have kind of been doing a food drive for a couple of years now, and always do, and we're gonna kind of take it one step further. And so we're looking at, on Saturday, December 12th, doing a drive-through drop-off food drive right out here at Town Hall. What I'm picturing is literally, you know, we'll have, again, Santa and Mrs. Claus will be present. We've talked about possibly bringing in some of our kind of community partners, some of the nonprofits in town, for example, who might do some giveaways. And, you know, we might do, you know, decorate your vehicle however, and kind of award prizes for decorations and, you know, those kinds of things. So they kind of get judged as they're coming through and donating their food and you know, that kind of thing. So they'd come in, pull up right on the sidewalk, they'd hand their stuff out the window. People are wearing masks and gloves, they don't get out of their cars, and then they drive around behind Town Hall to exit back out onto Babusick Lake Road. This year, I think more than any, you know, food pantries are struggling a little bit. So we thought this would be a nice way. And again, if they missed seeing Santa at the tree lighting or him driving around on the fire truck, it'd be another opportunity. You know, you can kind of wave and talk to the kids, you know, that kind of thing. And then my last one is something new. And this is actually a partnership among 8 towns in southern New Hampshire that we've been discussing for a while. But basically, from here all the way over to kind of Ringe and Jaffrey, we are going to encourage residents that kind of go out and decorate their homes to sign up to be on a holiday lights tour. They have to sign themselves up. We can't just say, oh, well, my neighbor down the street does this great display, you should go add his name. You know, they have to sign themselves up, so we don't have, you know, so homeowners know that they're, you know, involved. The 8 towns will then kind of publicize a master list of all the houses, you know, the street addresses of those houses in the various towns. And then on December 11th, we'll publicize the list, and for 3 weeks, basically encourage people to go out and check out all these homes, you know, in these 8 communities, as just a free family fun event. Each of the towns participating is actually gonna select one of the homeowners, and we'll kind of do a random raffle prize. We may do it as a, you know, voting which decoration, or we may just do it as a random draw. I'm not sure yet, but you know, but giving them a gift certificate to one of the local businesses, again, just to kind of support local business. And the idea is that it'll be spread out kind of over the 3 weeks of December, just so that we're not getting, you know, it's not one weekend, so we're not seeing big crowds. I have talked to the police department about it, and they were good with everything. And Paul and McCallie and I talked about it a little bit too. But so those are our 5 holiday events this year that we're looking at. The main, you know, big change, I guess, would be, you know, my recommendation is to not do the parade this year and just, you know, let it go for this year and you know, till hopefully things get better next year. And that is what I have at this point. And I will open it up to questions.
Any questions from the council? Finley?
Eileen.
Eileen.
First, yeah.
No questions, just a comment. As usual, you totally amaze me with your innovation and your adaptability to, you know, make the holiday season continue to be enjoyable even during this time. And I know that you're absolutely delighted with it. Poor Matt, he has so many ideas, and I say to him, unfortunately, you can't do that one. But I do appreciate you, you know, but so he's, I just want to say that I love these ideas, and it's nice to know that there are things. I love the Santa and Mrs. Claus on the fire truck. Love it. I mean, it's just in the food drive, you know, everything that you've thought of. So I just really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I would echo that. Finley?
Yes, no, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Eileen's always having to rein that in to slow his roll, because he's always got so many things he's ready to do.
That's a good situation to have.
It absolutely is, and it's these are a lot of great ideas, but I have to say that I think it's probably good to notify the homes, or have the homes notify you that they want to do it, but I think anybody who does what the gentleman on Turkey Hill Road does, they know people are coming by to look at their homes, so, but it's a great idea, and thanks for all the efforts.
Awesome. Sounds great, and I unfortunately have to concur that the parade is probably most appropriately left on the sidewalk right now. It's just one of those casualties of COVID-19 and the new normal, or whatever you want to call it. Do you need anything further from us?
The current normal.
The current normal,
I
not the new
believe that
normal?
art will go back to normal at one point or another.
Keep your fingers crossed. Do you need anything else from us, or we certainly appreciate you coming to tell us about all these things, and
think you have a
hopefully, if
consensus,
anybody
right?
pays attention to our meetings, which you never know, at least it helps get the word out a little bit. So those are some awesome ideas. Thank you.
Nicely done,
Thanks,
Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, appreciate
Nice
it.
job, Matt.
Which would bring us to number 5, but we're looking to table that for the time being until there's some further discussion and analysis of that. So if we could get a motion to table number 5
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
to a future date.
Doesn't matter.
Motion made by Bill and seconded by Nancy. With no argument, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining, that's 700. We'll pick that up another day. Thank you very much. Which brings us, to comments from the press. Oh,
No.
minutes. Minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the Thursday, October 8th, 2020 Town Council meeting minutes with some changes.
Okay,
Page 2, line 11. Consummate is spelled incorrectly.
okay.
Page 3, between lines 38 and 39 spacing.
Bill, excuse me, I want a bet on that. That you would use the word consummate, professional. Sorry,
It's part of the billboard
I
vernacular.
like it.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
At least it wasn't a feeble attempt at being splendiferous now, was it? Okay.
It's a comedy?
On page 5, between lines 20 and 21, some spacing. And then on page 7, lines 2 and lines 5, I'm sure a congressman would like another P in his name. It's P-A-P-P-A-S. That's all I had, and now I'll defer to Council Healy for anything that I missed.
Yeah, those are the ones I had.
Yeah, I saw those two.
did you, yeah, me too. In addition, I would call your attention to page 5, line 31.
I missed that one.
Said, council should review the town's policy it relates to, and it probably should be as it relates to naming places or things after someone. And then I had, I guess that's not important. Never mind, that's all I had to add. So if there's no other changes,
Needs
can
a
we get a second to the motion to accept?
Second?
Seconded by Nancy. Motion made by Bill and seconded by Nancy to accept the minutes with changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 700. Which does bring us to comments from the press. And none here, comments from the public. And we no longer have any here. Comments from the council. Finley.
I just want to wish my 29-year-old baby who had her 29th birthday on the 29th a very happy birthday. Sarah. Most spoiled
Okay.
child in Merrimack.
Happy birthday
this
from the
day.
town of Merrimack. Anybody else? Nancy?
Actually, I'm sure Bill will say the same thing about Tuesday for voting. Obviously, first of all, I'm very proud that so many absentee ballots has been received. I had spoken with Lynn Christensen earlier today, this evening, and she didn't have the number, of course, but she sort of estimated it was about 5,000. But she still, and we still have a couple of days left. There's no longer going to, do not put it in the mail. Drop by town hall, first of all. They will not guarantee that you will get it. In New Hampshire, you have to have received it by, I believe it's 5 o'clock on election day. So please do not, at this point, if you're returning or intend to apply for absentee ballot, come to town hall. As I mentioned earlier, it's been very complimentary by the public, the procedure that's there, that it's very efficient, it's very quick, so I would encourage you to do that. But she has also stated that she's also expecting a very high number on election day, so hopefully we do that. I hope everyone in Merrimack gets to vote, whether it's be absenteeism or going in person. All of us will be at various sites during the day. We'll probably be there to greet you, and we'll be happy to see all of you on that day. So all I ask is you be patient. Hopefully, even though there'll be long lines, hopefully it'll move fast enough. It's very well organized. If you've been to previous elections, you'll know that. But with distancing and all that, it's going to take a little longer, so please be patient with us. That's it.
Just to dovetail off of Councilor Harrington, as I'm sure everybody, excuse me, the community is aware of, this is an election of epic proportions, and it's not just what we find at the top of the ballot, but it's also what we also find at the bottom of the ballot. So I would encourage all of my community members, please make sure that you participate and look at both sides of the ballot when you're making your choices this year. And want to also thank Councilor Harrington for alluding to the fact that we have a lot of people that have been putting in a lot of time and effort to make sure that everybody has access to being able to either vote absentee or being able to come in person to vote in person. I'm really excited about this Tuesday. To me, it's a holy day of obligation. I say that very sincerely. I look forward to Election Day in this community, and I look forward to seeing people that are making the sojourn to the local polling places. I look forward to seeing you on Election Day and participating. As Nancy said, please be patient with all of us. We're going to do our best to make sure that your experience in coming to vote is as seamless as possible. And come Wednesday, no more commercials and no more junk mail in your mailbox. The light is at the end of the tunnel. I can even comment on that. When I went to get the mail today, I was amazed at the number of political literature that has been put into the mailboxes. So please get out and vote. We have men and women that have put their lives on their line in ensuring that our ability to vote is not only cherished but protected. It is the most sacrosanct privilege that we have as it relates to the First Amendment, so please exercise it. And thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Be well, be safe.
Okay, well, I can't add to that, so I'm not going to bother. Thank you very much for your efforts, everybody, and please come out and vote. And so last time, I'm presuming everybody's going to work the same polls they did
Just what I was gonna ask.
in the past.
We just need to know the time, so before you leave, let me know and I'll write a note to Lynn to tell her.
We need at least one counselor at every location at all times, and preferably two, because that's what the law requires. But Lynn is either the relaxation for COVID or what. But I'm sure she can put us all to work, so I'm planning to be there the whole day. So please help out and remember to be helpful while you're there.
We are made to be helpful, whether we want to or not.
There
And
will
there
be
will be lunch.
There will be lunch.
Oh, for the staff.
press too.
That's what I mean, not for the people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
the staff.
Yeah, for the workers. For people working. If there's nothing else,
Motion to adjourn.
motion adjourned by Bill, seconded by Lon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 7-0-0. We're adjourned. Thank you.